What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Royal King Brian, aka Brian, and we are back with another live training video, y'all. We are back with another live training video. Basically, I was not even planning on doing this video. This is basically a part two. This is going to be a part two of the training that we did yesterday. So basically, yesterday I got so much good feedback. I got a lot of phone calls. I got a lot of text messages saying how great the training was yesterday, and a lot of people learned a lot of information yesterday from that training video. So I said, you know what? I gotta give you guys a little bit more. I gotta give you guys a little bit more information, right? So this is gonna be a continuation of yesterday's training. This is gonna be basically part two. If you did not see part one, make sure you check that out as soon as this one is done, because you definitely need part one in order to understand part two. So what were we talking about yesterday? We were talking about this amazing book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Written by Robert Kiyosaki, and his philosophies on training people how to become rich, how to become wealthy, but most importantly, how to become financially independent, which is the goal here, right? The goal is to have enough money that you are financially independent. The goal is not to get rich. The goal is not to become a billionaire right now. The goal for right now is to become financially independent, to make enough money that you no longer need to go to work, and you can spend more time doing things that you love because you don't have to worry about money, right? So we're going to be talking about that. So once again, it's your boy Royal King Brian, aka Brian. And if you're new to the channel and you have not been on this channel before, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this video right now or you're watching this video later on, make sure you give it a like, because the likes really do help our channel grow. And we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, right? So let's get straight into the video, y'all. So again, for those of you guys who want to see Rich Dad Poor Dad, want to buy Rich Dad Poor Dad, the link is in the bio. The link is in the description. If you want to get the book yourself, it'll take you straight to Amazon, and you can buy straight from Amazon. And yeah, so now let's get into this new chart right here, right? Let's get into this new chart. This is called the cash flow chart. Sorry about that, y'all. The cash flow chart. So yesterday we were talking about ESIB. ESIB. And this is going to be really, really important so we could continue on to this chart, the cash flow chart, right? So again, I'm gonna go over a little recap. E is for earned income. If you have a job, you're a W-2 employee, you are in the E bracket. S is where I am at currently, self-employed, right? These two right here, E and S, are typically for the poorest people. And the poorest people, I say, they're not just, I don't mean poor financially, I mean like it's the unhealthiest people in the country. It's the people with the most problems, because like marriage problems and stuff like that, right? A lot of marriages, actually the number one cause of marriage, like breaking up, you can Google it right now, is lack of money, right? People start arguing over finances. You don't have enough money for this. I need money for this. And then second, number two is you're working all the time, right? So you're never home because you're working. I never get to see you. I'm with the kids all day and I need help, but you go to work. So it always has to do with money, right? So by poor, I mean that, right? You lacking resources to live your best life. So E for earned income, S for self-employed. This is the bracket where we want to be. We want to be in I, the investors club. We want to be in B, the business owners club. These two, you can make income, you can make money without having a job, right? Without having a job. So again, if you missed that, that was basically what I was teaching you guys yesterday in yesterday's video. So make sure you watch that video out. So now the new chart, the cash flow chart, income, right? So we're going to be talking about income. We're going to be talking about expenses. We're going to be talking about assets, and we are going to be talking about liabilities, right? And now you're going to see how this plays a huge, huge part into this chart, right? So everybody needs income, right? So let's start getting our phrases correctly. Everybody does not need a job. You don't need a job to pay the bills. You need income to pay the bills. You need money coming into your pocket so you can go and pay your bills, right? You don't need a job for that. There's a lot of ways to make money without having a job, right? Many, many ways, right? You could be self-employed, you could be employed, you could be an investor, you could be a business owner, right? So let's not say I need a job. I need income, right? I need money. You need money to survive, right? So let's just start off with the most common one, right? E and S, E and E, E and S. So you have a job. I'm doing this one a job because it's the most common one, right? So your job produces income, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your job making you money, right? So your job has money coming into your pocket. Your job is giving you money, right? So let's draw this line. Boom. Job is giving you money in your pocket. So now you have some money, right? But everybody that lives has expenses, right? And there are expenses that you just need in order to live. If you need housing, right? You need to live, you need a place to live. Right now in 2021, you need internet. There's no way that you're not paying for internet. You have to pay for internet. You have to pay your cell phone bill. Everybody that I know has a cell phone bill, right? There are expenses. If you have a car, you have expenses, right? If you have light in your apartment, you're paying the electricity bill. You're paying a whole bunch of bills, right? Is there expenses that everybody has to pay? Whether you're rich or you're at the bottom and you're poor, as long as you're not homeless and stuff like that, right? You have expenses. So this is your job. Your job gives you money, right? You go to your job to get some income. But now, every single month on a reoccurring monthly payment, right? You have to pay rent or mortgage, right? You have to pay the light bill. You have to pay Wi-Fi bill. Sorry, my handwriting is not that great. I've never had the best handwriting. Right, so now your job is giving you money, right? Let's make the numbers easy. Let's say you make $2,000 a month, right? From your job. It could be more. Some people make more, some people make less, right? Let's just make it easy. $2,000 a month you get it, right? So that's from your job. Now, you don't get to keep that $2,000 a month. Yeah, you make $2,000 a month, but how much money do you keep? This is where you have to learn. It's not how much money that you make that will make you successful. It's how money you get to keep at the end of the month that will make you successful. If you make $100,000 and you spend $95,000, you only get to keep $5,000 a year. Now, if you make $50,000 a year and you spend 40, you only get to keep $10,000, right? Now, if you make $10,000, now if you make $50,000 and you only spend $10,000, you get to keep $40,000 at the end of the year. So it doesn't matter how much money you make; it matters how much you keep, right? Because everybody has expenses, so there's no way that you're keeping. If you make $50,000 a year, there's no way that you can keep $50,000 a year, right? So now your money is coming into this chart. Your $2,000 every single month comes to this chart, the expenses chart, your expenses, right? Your expenses, your money is going to rent, mortgage, light, Wi-Fi, and we cannot forget, you don't get that whole $2,000, right? Because your check might be $2,600, $2,500. You're only getting $2,000 because you have to pay taxes too. So taxes get some of your money, right? Everybody looks at their pay stub like, man, I get so much money taken out, right, for taxes. So let's just say after taxes, you get $2,000, right? This is what happens. Most people that are poor, and I will pretty much guarantee this for anybody, right? But I'm not going to guarantee it. But most people, for anybody, right? For anybody, this is how your life looks like if you're poor. So if you're poor, it's because your life looks like this. If you're poor, right, this is how your life is every single month. You go to work to pay the bills. You come back to work, right? You come back to work to pay more bills. Then you do it again, you do it again, You do it again. And that's basically the cycle that your life is. And it's going to continue being unless you change something, right? Because you have to go to work in order to pay the bills, right? Because you're like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do to make money. So I have to go to work in order to pay the bills, right? So this is what happens. You get your money, you get satisfied, you look at your paycheck, you're like, yeah, I got some money. The money goes back away because you have to pay your expenses, your rent, your light, your Wi-Fi, taxes. Now you don't have any money at the end, right? Now you're like, damn, I have to go back to work again. And people get on this cycle forever. I was doing this cycle for over 10 years and I was over it. I was fed up. People have been in this cycle for 20 years, 30 years. Some people have been in this cycle for 40 years and more, doing this same cycle. Now, what can you do, Brian, in order to break out of I need to wake up to go to work, to pay my bills. Now I'm broke. I need to go back to work, right? What can I do to get out of that cycle? So start off with what you have. If you have a job, great. I'm not bashing people with a job, right? You just need to find a way to replace it eventually, right? You need an escape plan, right? So you go to your job, you get your $2,000 a month, right? You get your $2,000 a month. I don't know why I put this 12 years, whatever. You get your $2,000 a month. You pay your expenses because you have to pay your expenses. Nothing changes. But with whatever's left over, you need to buy assets, right? And that doesn't matter what is left over. You can start with $5 a month buying assets, right? Now, what are assets? Assets is something that you purchase with your money, right? Let's say you make money from your job. You pay your expenses, whatever's left over, you buy assets. Assets can be things as buying stocks. Stocks. Crypto. You don't know, crypto is like Bitcoin, stuff like that, right? Another asset, you could buy a house, right? But this house is gonna be rental, right? You're not gonna live in this house. You're gonna buy a house, but you're gonna stay living where you live, right? You're not gonna live in the house. And I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. So this is how you get out, right? This is how you get out. If you do this chart right here, I guarantee your life will go from poor to well off, to wealthy, to rich, to financial freedom, right? Because that's the goal here. We want to get financial freedom. So again, I'm pretty sure if you're poor is because you're only in these two boxes. You're in the job box and the expense box. All you have to do is add yourself to one more box. Add yourself to the asset box. Now, this is what happens, right? Usually, people are like, yeah, that takes too long to, I'm not gonna do that, right? So this is what happens, right? This is how you become successful. This is how you become financially independent. Now, what happens is you start getting that idea and then you're like, you know what? I have a better idea, which is actually not a better idea. I'm gonna just get a raise at my job. I'm gonna ask my job for a raise. My job could pay me more. Now I'm gonna have more money left over after my expenses, right? And that is correct. That is correct. If your job pays you more, right? Let's say you're not making $2,000 a year now, $2,000 a month. Let's say you're making $3,000 a month. You're making $3,000 a month because your job pays you more. Now you're like, man, I'm good. I don't need no assets. I have more money left over after I pay rent, after I pay light, after I pay Wi-Fi, after my taxes, right? I have more money left over. And then this is what happens to majority of people, which makes them even worse, puts them in a worse situation. They start buying liabilities. So instead of coming to this box right here, instead of coming to the asset box, they start coming here to this box. And this is the liability box. Now, what is a liability? So before I tell you what's a liability, I'm gonna explain to you what's asset. Asset is something that you buy, that you purchase with your own money, right, with your own income. that's going to give you more money later on. So asset is something that you buy that's going to pay you and put more money in your pocket. It's going to give you more income, right? Liability is something that you buy that takes more money out of your pocket. So instead of an asset that's going to give you more money, it's taking away more money. Now, what is that, right? So again, once you start getting a pay raise at your job, you're like, hey, I'm making more money. What happens when you make more money? You pay your expenses, you have money left over, you start buying liabilities. You buy a car, right? This is what most people do. You buy a car. Now, guess what? That car payment, every single month, car payment, money, right? That's taking money out of your pocket every single month. It basically became a liability. It's not an expense because you don't really need a car, right? You don't need a car. You chose to get that car, right? It's a liability. A house or a home doesn't have to be a house per se, an apartment, right? You're like, I don't need to live in this place no more because I'm making more money now. Let me move into a better area. Let me buy a bigger house. Let me get a fancier place, right? So now your home, your house, right? That's money every single month as well. Because now you got to pay your monthly payments, right? You got to pay that mortgage. You got to pay that rent in your fancier apartment, right? So now basically all the extra money that you're making from your job increase, from your salary increase, from your promotion that you got in your job, basically is gone. You're basically back in the same situation that you was of just being in these two boxes. You added yourself to the wrong box. And you can say, oh, Brian, what if I buy a paid off car? What if I buy a car that's fully paid off? The thing is that if you're on the road, you're always going to have to pay for your car, no matter what. Yeah, you might not have a car payment, but you have to pay insurance, right? Your insurance payment every single month. You still got to put gas in your car every single month. Your car might break down every now and then. It is still a liability. That car is not putting any money into your pocket, right? So I'm gonna give you guys a visual. Right? This is how much money, let's say, you make, right? Let's say this is how much money you make, right? At the end of the month from your job, right? This is not a lot of money, y'all. This is literally all dollars. This is like $30. This is not that much money, right? But I wanted to get $30 so I can show you guys a visual representation, right? So let's say you get paid, right? Now, for the rent, right? The light, the Wi-Fi, this is how much money you have left, right? Let's say this is how much money you have left. If you have kids, right? You gotta eat, you gotta buy food, right? So it went from that big stack to this is how much money you have left over. Now, you don't have no money left, so you have to go to work in order to get this stack again, right? In order to get this stack, you need to go back to work, right? And then what's gonna happen? The same thing, rent, electricity, Wi-Fi, you gotta eat, you have kids. Now you're back to this again, and the cycle repeats itself. You go back to work to get the stack, right? Now, everybody usually has some type of money left over. It might not be a lot. Look at this. It's not a lot, right? But if you go and buy liabilities, now you're taking money from this little pile, car payment, car insurance. Now this is how much money you got left, right? I went from that stack every single month to this every single month, right? And now you have to go and repeat the cycle all over again, right? So this being in the liability box is how you trap yourself into something called the rat race. What is the rat race? It's basically, you've seen a hamster on a wheel. The hamster on a wheel, it could run harder, it could run faster, it can run longer, but it's not going anywhere. And that's how most people's life is. They're like, man, I'm working harder, I'm doing my job faster, I'm being more productive than I've ever been at my company, and nothing is happening. I'm not getting anywhere. You're like the hamster on the wheel. You're doing all that work, not going anywhere. Now we have to change that, right? Start buying assets. So again, what are assets? Assets are stocks. Assets are like cryptocurrency, right? Like Bitcoin, stuff like that. And a house. So if you notice, house is here and house is here, right? And I'm going to add one more thing to this asset class. A car, right? Like, so now you notice car is in both boxes as well. So house and car are in both boxes, right? So what is an asset again? Asset is something that puts money into your pocket. What's a liability? Something that takes money every single month out of your pocket, right? So let's take your job again. Let's say $2,000, $3,000, right? You got your raise, whatever, you pay your expenses. This is what you have to pay. This you cannot change. Your expenses are your expenses. You can't change that. When you could change is what box do you go to after their expenses, right? So now let's do this. I'm gonna give you the example again, right? So you have your job pays you, right? Your job pays you the stack. You pay your expenses, you pay rent, you pay light, you pay Wi-Fi, you buy food, you have kids, all that, right? And again, you're left with this little stack. You went from that big stack to this little stack just because of this box, right? If you buy liabilities, we already saw what happens. You lose more because now you got your car payment, now you got a whole bunch of other liabilities, right? So what happens when you invest into assets? You buy stocks. Well, your circle is not finished yet. Your circle, where's the marker, y'all? Because assets are things that put money in your pocket. So your circle is going to continue into this box. Right? So now you bought something with your money, right? That's going to put money into your pocket, right? So it went from job, expenses, assets. Assets are putting money into your pocket. So now you have two incomes. Let's say stocks, right? And I'm gonna use AT&T as an example, right? Because AT&T is my favorite stock, and if you want to learn about AT&T, why I love it, I have a whole bunch of videos on that. You can check it out on my channel as well. So let's say you buy stocks. You buy AT&T, right? AT&T pays dividends every 4 months, right? So out of the 12 months in the year, AT&T has to pay you in order because you invested in them, right? So it's a thank you. You're not an employee of AT&T. You don't work for AT&T. You don't represent AT&T. You don't have to go do anything for AT&T because you invested into AT&T. As a thank you, they will give you money every single month as long as you keep your money with them, right? So this is what happens. You got your job, you pay your expenses, you bought stocks, you bought crypto. Let's say you bought some Bitcoin, right? They're going to pay you. So now instead of having only your job, after a few months, right? This takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So a few times, your job is going to pay you your $3,000, and now AT&T has to pay you too. So it starts off small, right? $1,000. So what's 1,000 plus 3,000? The 3,000 from your job plus $1,000 from AT&T. Now your money went from I only make $3,000 a month to I'm making $4,000 a month, right? And then you keep repeating the cycle. You pay your expenses, and then you buy more assets. So again, let's go over this example. I'm using the money because I think the money is just like a good visualization, right? So your job, right? Without AT&T, right? Your job. Your job without AT&T, you get your money, you pay rent, you pay mortgage, you pay light, you pay Wi-Fi, you gotta eat, and you have kids, right? So you get stuck with this much. But now you're not stuck with this because you bought assets. So now AT&T has to come and pay you. So now, boom, your stack went from a little bit to a little bigger. And this happens every single month. And the thing is that every single month, not every single month, every 3 months, your payment, as long as you keep doing it, will get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So you went from $3,000 a month to $4,000 a month. The next year, AT&T is gonna pay you more money than that. AT&T is gonna pay you $2,000 because how it works is the longer you invest in a company, the longer you invest into a company, the more you will get back, right? So now you go from $4,000 a month to $5,000 a month. So now your job pays you and AT&T pays you. Now this is how much money you have. Now a few months pass, your job pays you and AT&T pays you. And now your stack will start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you do not have to work for it. Eventually, as you guys can see, the job still pays more than AT&T. But eventually, with time, AT&T is going to pay you more than your job. Now you don't need your job. You don't need your job. You can quit your job because AT&T will pay you more. So let's say your job was paying you $3,000 a month. AT&T eventually, with due time, will pay you $4,000 a month. Then it'll pay you $5,000 a month, right? And then you can quit your job and quit the rat race, right? So how do you get out of the rat race? You get your income, you pay your expenses, you buy assets. Now, if you notice, a house and a car are in both because you can use your car as an asset. You can also use your car as a liability. You can use your house as an asset. You can use your house as a liability, right? So for example, I'm gonna give you guys a quick example because I don't like making these videos way too long. But let's say you buy a car just to drive. The car's for you, right? You're like, hey, I bought this car because I'm making good money now. I want a car. You have to make that car payment every single month. And even if your car's paid off, you have to pay insurance every single month. You got to pay gas every single month. Anything happens to the car, you're responsible for it. So every single month is taking money out as a liability. Now, let's say you buy a car to rent it out. So you don't drive it. You let other people drive it. So let's say you just rent your car out for $100. Not much, $100. There are 30 days in the month, right? 30 days in the month. Let's say you rent it out for $100, 15 days, just half. So 15, 0, 0, 5, 0, 0, 1. So it's $1,500. So in 15 days, your car, instead of costing you money, is bringing in $1,500. That is an asset. Your car is an asset. Your car is paying you money every single time. So what kind of car you can do this with? Like, you can go on this website called Turo, Turo. I'm giving you guys free game right now, free game. This is stuff that people charge for, right? Go on Turo and rent your car, right? $100. You can make it more. You can make it $200, but let's say $100 just to start, right? And if your car gets rented for 15 days out of the 30, right? You don't need every single day, right? Because you need the car for yourself too, right? Now your car is paying, your car payment, your $1,500 is paying for your car bill. You renting the car is paying for your car bill, it's paying for your insurance, it's paying for your gas, and you still got money left over that's giving you income, that's producing you income. So if you have a car for yourself and you making payments on the car, liability. You get a car, you rent it out, somebody's gonna give you money to rent it out. Now they're paying for your liabilities. And now it's no longer a liability, they're paying for your asset, right? And you still get to keep the car, you make money, and you still get to drive the car the half of the days that you're not renting it out, right? Now let's say a house or a home, right? Let's say you get a home because everybody needs a place to live, right? So let's say you're renting right now. I'm gonna give this example. I'm gonna just give this example. Let's say you're renting, right? And your rent is $1,400, right? Let's say your rent is $1,400. So you buy a home, right? Because you want to live in a better area, you want to live in a fancier place, and now your rent goes from $1,400 to $1,600. So now every single month you're paying $200 more, right? So that's a liability because it's taking money out of your pocket, it's taking money out of your income, right? Now let's say you buy a house to rent. So not for you, you're not living it. You stay living in your 1,400. You stay living in your 1-bedroom apartment. You stay living in your studio for a little bit, for a little while. And you get that 3-bedroom house, right? You get that 3-bedroom house, but you don't live in it. You rent it out. So if your mortgage is 1,600, let's say you have to pay 1,600 every single month. You rent your house out that you bought. You stay in your studio. You stay in your apartment, and you charge $2,000. So your mortgage is 1,600, but you're charging $2,000. You're making $400 every single month that you're not working for. Your house is no longer a liability. Your house is no longer a liability. Your house is an asset because every single month is making you money. Every single month is making you money. And that's it. It is basically that simple, y'all. In order to become financially independent, you need to make money without having to work for it. Robert Kiyosaki has a famous quote. He says, Robert Kiyosaki, if you don't know who Robert Kiyosaki is, he is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's a billionaire, right? Not a millionaire, billionaire with a B, right? So he says, rich people do not work for money. Poor people work for money. Rich people buy things. They buy things that will allow them to live their life without having to work for it. If they work, it's because they want to. It's not because they have to. It's not out of necessity. It's just because they want to, right? So, like I was giving an example yesterday about LeBron James, Jay-Z. I'm gonna give an example about this, right? So the Kardashians, everybody knows Kim Kardashian, right? I love the Kardashians because they're the ones that basically showed the blueprint to a whole bunch of things to making money online, right? So Kim's job, the family's job, is to show, right? They have a contract. They're obligated to work and make this show. They're an employee. That's their job. The Kardashians' job is to be on TV and record for their show. They get paid for that. That is their job. So their job, right? They've been on air for 20 seasons. 20 seasons has been 15 years. They've been on TV for 15 years doing their job. And what did they do? After the expenses, because they have expenses too. They have to pay for their house. They have to pay their taxes. They have to pay for the Wi-Fi bill. They have to pay for cable bill. And I'm talking about, this is 15 years ago they had to do this, right? But what did the Kardashians do? Instead of buying liabilities, the first thing they did was not buy a Lamborghini and a mansion. If you look at the show 15 years ago, they did not drive Lamborghinis and live in big mansions like they live now. What they did was buy stocks. What they did was buy assets. So it's like starting a business, because if you start a business, you're getting sales every single month. You're getting sales every single week. You're getting sales every single day. So every single day, your business is making you more money, right? So what they did was buy stock. They bought multiple houses and they rent those houses when they're not living in it. They have a Miami home. They have a New York home. Their main home is in California. But when they're not there, those houses are being used, right? They're making money off of their properties. They bought assets. They used their TV job, pay their expenses, bought assets. Use their TV job, pay their expenses, bought assets. Now the assets is giving them money. And this cycle continued. And after 5 years is when the Kardashians started buying liabilities, right? That's when they started buying a car. But now guess what? Their TV job is not paying for the liabilities. Their assets are paying for the liabilities. Their assets are paying for the liabilities. They have recently announced, the Kardashians, they recently announced that they're no longer doing the TV show. This is the final season. It is over. They're done with their job. After 15 years, they are officially done with their job. They're no longer working for the TV company. There is no more keeping up with the Kardashians after this year. Why? Because their assets make more money than their job. Why would they do a job to get paid less money? Kylie has, Kylie Cosmetics. That makes more money than she does on the TV show. Kim has Skims, right? The apparel. Her Skims company makes more money than the TV show. Chloe has Good American, her clothing company. Her clothing company makes more money than the TV show. Why would they continue doing a job? Right? I'm gonna give you guys an example. You can buy fancy things. Right? As long as your assets are paying for you. So I bought this wallet, right? Here's the second one I bought. I bought this one before, right? And I'm gonna give you guys a good example. I bought this one about 10 years ago. I bought this one a few months ago, right? When I bought this one, I bought this with my own money that I was working for, right? It was a lot of money. It was like $400, right? So I spent $400, right? Oh, what's up, Jordy? I see I got some people here. Shout out, Jordy, man. Shout you out. Thanks for the comment. So this wallet right here, I paid for it with my job. I took $400 and paid for this, right? Some people might say that's stupid, whatever, right? I liked it, whatever. But there is a better way to buy these things, right? There is a better way to buy these things. So before I bought another one, I make sure I did it the correct way this time. So as many of you guys know, I have my own business and I invest in stocks. I invest in stocks and I invest in crypto. So for this one, it was a little bit more expensive. It was like $450, right? But I didn't pay for this. I got it, but I did not pay for this. You know who paid for this? AT&T. I know I don't work for AT&T. I'm not represented by AT&T. I don't represent AT&T. I'm not an employer of AT&T, but I am an investor. I am on the I bracket right here. And because I'm an investor, they pay me dividends, right? So the dividend was big enough that I didn't have to take money out of my own pocket and buy these things, right? Now my goal eventually is, right, because I made more money off AT&T now than I made before, is for AT&T to pay for my car, to pay for my BMW. And that will happen. There will be a point, because every single year, you make more money off your investments, that AT&T will be able to pay for my car. And now I could drive my car and I don't have to make the car payment. AT&T is going to give me money. AT&T is going to give me some money, and I'm going to take that money and be like, hey, I'm going to keep my money in my pocket. Thank you, AT&T. Here's BMW. Here's the payment. And AT&T will be paying my bills. So the goal is to become financially free, to make enough investments early on in your life. Wait it out, because it does take time. Wait it out. Have your assets pay for your lifestyle. Have your assets pay for your liabilities, and have your assets end up making you quitting your job. Because nobody wants to work until they're 65. Nobody wants to work until they're 70. You can retire just living off of your assets. So if you understand this, guys, if you understand this chart, you are so far ahead that you do not understand. If you understand yesterday's video of ESIB, earn, self-employed, investment, and business, you are so far ahead. Now, if you apply both of these things into your personal life, and it is very, very simple. If you apply both of these things into your personal life, you can retire in 5 to 10 years. You can retire into 5 to 10 years. If you put a lot of money into it, you can retire in 3 years. If you put a majority of your money into it, you can retire in 2 years, right? You do not need to work at a job for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years. Doing that cycle of income, expenses, assets. Assets produce income. You do not need a job in order to make money. You need to buy something that gives you money, right? So it's your boy Royal King Brian, aka Brian. I hope you guys have learned something. Definitely did my best to explain it in this video. If you have any questions, make sure you leave it down in the comment section. It's your boy Royal King Brian, aka Brian. I love doing these training videos. If you have any help that you need, make sure you leave it down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to address it in my next live training video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and if you know people who are trying to be financially free that need information like this, yo, shout out Jorly, man. I appreciate you too, man. Thank you. Make sure you leave a comment down below. You share it, because a lot of people need this information in order to become financially free, in order to become financially independent. And once again, this is just a little bit. This is just like a little bit. If you want to know the whole thing, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The link is in the description. The link is down low in the bio. It'll take you straight to Amazon. You can buy the book from there. So Jolie, I appreciate you. Shout you out, man. I'm giving you a shout out, Jolie. I appreciate, man. I know we go back years. We go back like over 10 years. So I appreciate you watching. This has been a way longer video than I wanted it to be. But thank you guys. Your boy Roy King Brian K. Brian. Peace, y'all. Hope you guys learned something today.